Yo, what's going on out there, players? Welcome to week 2 of Football is Life. Now, week 1, we talked about how American football mirror images and parallels the game we call life. We're going to get a little more detail tonight about how this happens and what we need to do to get our heads around this so we can start winning and get rid of the losing and get rid of the tying. All right. So tonight we'll get into a little bit of structure and tactics from last time. This is the basis of the game of life, just like football. We're going to talk about the tapestry of life, the big picture, and the elements that go into this game of life. We're going to talk about these tapestry elements right now. When we're talking about the big picture, right? We don't see everything that we want to see. We don't see the tactics that our opponents are planning against us, right? We look at this big picture. We see on this side of the tapestry, it's clear. But this is on the other side of what we call the universe. What we look at is this mess of threads right here. So we don't see it clearly. So we need to get back into seeing things clearer, right? And that's where the abode of God, or what we call in football the front offices, that's where that happens. We need clarity in this game. We need to see things clearly. And that's what this super atomic, this 25 vision, like a Philadelphia eagle, soaring over everything and seeing everything clearly. And also on that side of the tapestry is the afterlife, the Hall of Fame. Now, in many cultures, they have their own Hall of Fame. Which Hall of Fame are you working for? Because players don't just make it into the Hall of Fame, they got to put the work in. And that's what we're trying to do here, is find out what kind of work we got to put in to get to winning like this on this level. Where we're at, we see this mess of threads, the atomic and subatomic, the heavens, which are the stadium, and the planets and Earth, the playing fields. That's where the games are happening. Now, there are many cultures also that say that these gods in the front offices came from the heavens, came from the stadium on different playing fields. Like in Egypt, they call it Orion, Orion's belt. That is what the cultures are claiming. And with God, with the Father, Son, and Spirit, they're claiming to be outside of the playing fields and outside of the stadium. They're claiming to be the architects of the stadium. So when we're talking about the game, we're talking about this structure here. We got to know the structure of the game so we know how to go about the game. And that's where the designer and creator, the owner and the coach, God and the angels come in, where we get clarity because they are responsible for this needle of pushing our lives, the threads of human and animal life, along. You got 8 billion humans in this amazing tapestry. It's amazing, but it's confusing. We're all trying to figure it out. And that's what football is life is all about. It's trying to figure out the structure and also the tactics. We need to know what kind of tactics we need to use when we're playing the game, right? Everybody's got their own approach. Everybody's got their own methods. Everybody's got their own style. And, there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's winning. Bruce Lee said, it doesn't matter how you hit, just as long as you hit, that's a win. And so we also look at the components and circuit, the power flow. because we need to know the power flow. And that power flow looks like this electricity. And that's how the game looks. It's all electricity. It's power flow. And that's what we need to get into, power flow, and understand it. Because if we don't understand how this power flow is going, life is going to light us up, just like on the football field. If you don't know what you're doing out there, you're going to get lit up. And that's what we don't want to happen. That's losing or tying. But we're going to get into this circuit, these components and circuits. When we're talking about time, we're talking about eons, huge blocks of time, right? In the NFL season, we have the off-season, draft, preseason, contracts, regular season, and postseason. That eon covers that whole block. And that's the kind of structure that we need to keep our heads on. We also have chronos. That's linear time, right? This is the big picture, big time, and this is the time clock. Now, everybody knows, well, maybe not everybody knows, because my mom didn't know when me and my sister were hanging out, and my mom says, "Oh, it's time to go." And my sister and I said, "Oh, hold on, there's only 10 minutes left in the game." When she didn't know that 10 minutes meant like half an hour. So when we're talking about chronos, that time on the clock, we need to get our heads around it and make sure we're not losing time or wasting time. And this thing called kairos, this is the right place at the right time, at the right play, in the right situation. Now, this was a beautiful thing when Peyton Manning broke Dan Marino's record for most touchdowns in a season. Not only was it great because he broke Dan Marino's record, being a Bears fan, I couldn't stand the Dolphins, but also because of how kairos worked when Peyton Manning threw that pass to Brandon Stokely. Peyton Manning's pass left his hand before Brandon Stokely even made his cut, which is amazing. It was poetry in motion. I loved it. It was great. That's kairos. That's what we want in every situation, in every day in our lives. We also have where. We are operating. We are functioning on all these different levels. We talked about the third heaven, outside of the universe. We talked about the second heaven, which is the universe. We're going to talk about the first heaven, which is the atmosphere of the earth and just the earth in general. We're going to talk about nations and how they came about and how they're run. We're going to talk about churches and religion, world religions all over the world, and what they have to do with their influence on nations over the world. We're going to talk about work, the workplace, and industry and technology, and how they affect nations. We're going to talk about neighborhoods, because neighborhoods are communities. And in this day and age, there's really no communing in unity. We're all individuals here, even though we all operate in the home and operate as individuals. Neighborhoods are breaking down because there's no unity. We're going to talk about what goes on in the home level. Parents, wives, husbands. We're going to talk about children and what relationships are going on there. And we're going to talk about us as individuals, how our mind works, how our body works, how our spirit and soul work. These are the levels that we are operating on, and we need to know this power flow so that we're not getting lit up in life and we're not getting played. Because the bottom line is winning and losing. What are the results of the tactics you're using in this structure? We need to know and make sure that we are playing to win the game, like Herm Edwards loves saying. But we need to be serious about winning, because everybody wants to win. But when you look at it, we discuss Proverbs, how we think we know what's winning, but in the end, it leads to losing life, to death. And Mike Tyson, what does he say about game planning? Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the face. Is life punching you in the face? And what are you doing about it? Are you getting knocked out and laying there for the 10 count? Or are you getting back up and getting back in the game and fighting to win? Because everybody gets blindsided in life. That is life. Because we don't see everything. We're not seeing the big picture. We're not seeing what our opponents are coming at us with. That's why we need to be about winning and having a functional game plan and be serious about winning. Because wanting it is not enough. We need to do what it takes to win. So we're going to move on into our structure here. Where we look at what it takes, the structure of the game, not just when and where, but this process of perfection, this perfect season that every team is about. Every team is about perfection. Every team is about the perfect season. Every team goes in saying, we are not going to lose. We are not going to lose one game this season. That's what winners do. That's what Hall of Famers do. And if you're not about this process of perfection and being in the perfect season, you will lose. Because if you're not about winning and being perfect, perfecting yourself, then losing is an option. And we don't want to make losing an option. We want to make winning an option. So we look at who's playing the game, who's playing these games, who are our opponents, who's opposing us, who's for us, who can we ally with, who can we get help from to get help to win the game. Now, also with who, you have your training facilities. And are you taking advantage of training facilities? Because even before the season starts, you need to train in the off season to be ready for the season. The Apostle Paul says, be ready in season and out of season. We need to be prepared. And what does that preparation look like? In football, it looks like training, film room, weight room, locker room, practice field. And we need to take advantage of those facilities. Now, what do those facilities look like in life? If we're not professional football players, it looks like church, it looks like the gym, sometimes it looks like the bar, sometimes it looks like the club, because we believe these things are helping us win in life. But are they really? We need to check, we need to analyze, we need to consider what is going on, what is producing results, and what are those results? Are they winning or are they losing? Are they going to get us to winning in the end, or are they going to make us lose in the end? And that is where what, how, and why come into play. We've got situations, we've got field position, series, down and distance, play calls and plays, and all of this. If it's aligned or misaligned with the game plan, the system, and the contracts, the work we're required to do, it goes to who? The referee, the field judge. On the field, we have referees and field judges that will blow the whistle, whistleblowers, that will stop the game. Literally stop the game. And we have that in life. We have people who will stop the game and say, you have done this. This is how it's going to go from here. And that's called a judgment. And that results in winning, losing, and tying and your post game. And that is the bottom line, because we are all about winning. We are all about finding out why we lost or why we tied. This is the structure of the game. And we need to move forward in certain ways so that we are winning and doing what it takes to win. Because if we are not doing what it takes to win, we are losing on all these different levels. We do not want to lose on these levels. We want to keep it moving forward. And in the next podcast, we're going to talk about eons. This big block of time. We're going to talk about this because we need to focus on our time management. When you're in the 2-minute drill before the halftime or before the end of the game, you need to have your head on straight and have your timing right. You need to be specific about what you're going to do in specific situations in your field position. We need to be specific in what we are studying, specific in what we are looking to do, what kind of play calls we're going to make, and what kind of plays we're going to make. This is what football is life is all about. So next time, we're going to talk about eons, and we're going to talk about life. So for the next episode, keep your heads on a swivel and be blessed.